Hi, my name is Talia Christian, and today I'm going to be talking about how human values influence social psychology as told by the textbook that I have linked below. So I'm going to get right into it. So as humans, we have values, we have things in our life that we find important, certain principles that guide us, and a lot of that is for a lot of different reasons. But inevitably, human values are going to seep into the work of social psychologists. Now, there are obvious ways in which values enter social psychology, and then there are not so obvious ways that values enter psychology, and I'm going to be talking about all of that in this video. So, one very obvious way in which values can influence social psychology is when a social psychologist picks a research topic. So, if you just think back to a time when you had a class and you had to do a research paper and they let you pick your topic, I'm assuming you picked the topic that you either most related to or found that you could connect with the most in order to make that research more enjoyable for you. So that's kind of what happens when social psychologists decide to research something. It's going to be what they're interested in. It's going to be what they want to know. It's maybe going to be with what's going on in society. So yes, research often tends to go with the flow of society. For example, in the 1940s, prejudice was a big topic to study because of the fascism that raged in Europe. In the 1950s, social psychologists studied conformity because of look-alike fashion and the intolerance of differing views. In the 1960s, aggression was studied due to riots and social unrest, which I really found interesting that they studied aggression and not social injustice or racial inequality. So that's also a very telling thing when looking at that time period, Then in the 1970s, they studied gender and sexism due to the feminist movement. So future research will reflect today and tomorrow's problems, or maybe not necessarily problems, but whatever new is going on. So that may include issues such as immigration, gender fluidity, income inequality, or aging. So like I said, not necessarily issues like problems, but just what's happening today. This can differ by culture as well. So in Europe, you're going to see social psychology focus more on social identity, so more of a we aspect. And in America, there's going to be more of a focus on individuals, so more of an I aspect. And sometimes values are the focus on research, how they form, why they change, and how they influence attitudes and behaviors. So, leading off from that, there are not so obvious ways in which values enter psychology. Our ideas basically come in place through interpretation. We prejudge reality based on our expectation of the outcome. And when you share the same culture, values, and ideals as those around you, your ideas will often go unchallenged. So what guides our behavior is less the situation as it is and more the situation as we construe it, right? So we're talking about perception here. And often when we talk, we may talk as if we're stating facts. A lot of the time we talk as if we're stating facts, when really they're just value judgments. So values influence a variety of things, like the best way to live, in advice giving, depending on what I value, depending on maybe our culture, I may give you advice that's geared more in the direction of what's best for you, or I may give you advice that's geared more in the direction of what's best for everyone, what's best for me. Kind of how I mentioned, Europe is going to have more of that social identity and we aspect, whereas America is very individualistic. So values are also going to affect labeling so this is a not so obvious way value will influence social psychology, right? When we're talking about somebody who is maybe quiet, are they shy or do we call them cautious? Are they holding back, or are we going to say they're an observer? Are we going to look at information and perceive it as propaganda or education? In this pandemic, very great example, are we going to look at the loss of innocent lives, or are we going to look at it as collateral damage? When we talk about public assistance, are we going to refer to it as welfare or aiding the needy? So, yeah, that's kind of all in all how values influence psychology. But by constantly checking our beliefs against the facts, we restrained our biases. I just took that quote straight out of this textbook. I didn't even try to rephrase it in my own words. But yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Next, I will probably be focusing on research methods. This one was kind of nice and short, and I hope you learned something from it. And have a good day. Bye.